Welcome back to another crochet tutorial with Cozy Rosie UK, and today I am sharing with you the left panel of the square neck version of the cable and crossed crochet cardigan. Don't forget there is also a V-neck option for this cardigan, so there's a left panel V-neck if you wanted to do that. Everything is linked below for you in the description box, the playlist and the video. If you're looking for the right square neck panel, that's linked in the playlist as well for you. So once you've made the length you want up to your shoulder shaping or your armhole shaping, this will be the same size as up to, it should be the same number of rows as your back panel up to where you've come in for your shoulder as well. So I have fastened off already. You will need to fasten off to make this left side. And we need to turn to make sure that we have the right side of our project facing us. So your tails will both be on the same side. Now to start the shaping of the armhole on your left panel, we are coming in from the tail where we've just fastened off and rejoining our yarn, and where you rejoin will depend on the size that you are making. So extra small and small will be joining in the 9th stitch. Medium to 2XL are going to be joining in the 13th stitch, and 3XL to 5XL will be joining in the 17th stitch, and this will give you your armhole shaping. So you just simply count along your stitches. So there's my chain 3, so I need to count that. So that's, oh no, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. So 9 will be for your extra small and your small. 10, 11, 12 and 13 will be for your medium up to a 2XL, and then 3XL to 5XL will be joining in the 17th stitch. I've just inserted my hook, ready to find my tail of my yarn, and I'm simply just going to place my yarn over my hook and bring it through to rejoin, yarning over, and we're going straight into row 1 with a chain of 3. This row is going to be our cable row, so we obviously skip the next stitch, working the first of 3 double crochets into the next, so working 1 double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. So that's 2 and 3. We are then going to work our double crochet back into that skip stitch, just as we've been doing throughout this pattern. Oops, what have I done here? I want that loop, thank you very much. We're then going to work the cable stitch across to the end of this row, where we will have just 1 stitch remaining. We need to work that last double crochet into. So continue across, working your cable stitches, and I'll see you shortly at the end of row 1. Just working my final double crochet into that last stitch, and you should have a section of unworked stitches, and this is where we're going to attach our sleeve a little bit later on. So this is the end or the beginning of our row now. So at the end of row 1, you should of course have your 1 double crochet at each end. So the extra small will have 6 cable stitches, small and medium will have 7, large will have 8, extra large will have 9, 2 and 3XL will have 10 cable stitches, 4XL will have 11, and 5XL will have 12 cable stitches. Going into row 2, we make a turning chain of 1, and we are working 1, I was yarn over, we're going to work 1 single crochet into the same stitch as our chain 1, and work 1 single crochet into each stitch along. So continue across, and I will meet you at the end of row 2. Once you've worked all the way back across, working 1 single crochet into each of the stitches, your stitch count at the end of row 2 will be 26 single crochets for your extra small, 30 for a small and a medium, 34 for a large, 38 for an extra large, 42 for a 2 and a 3XL, 46 for a 4XL, and 50 for a 5XL. Going into row 3, we are working our cross double crochet row. So we start with our chain of 3, ready to work our cross double crochets. So that chain 3 does count, skip the next, working a double crochet into the next, before working back into that skip stitch to create that cross double crochet, just as we were doing before. Continue across working your cross double crochets, and of course you'll have one stitch remaining at the end of this row to work your final double crochet. I will meet you at the end of row 3. Once you've worked all the way across, you should of course have one stitch remaining to work your final double crochet. So at the end of row 3, extra small, all sizes will have those 2 double crochets, one at each end. Then extra small will have 12 cross double crochets, small and medium will have 14, large will have 16, extra large will have 18, 2XL and 3XL will have 20 cross double crochets, 4XL will have 22, and 5XL will have 24. Row 4 is simply a repeat of row 2, so we make a turning chain of 1, working 1 single crochet into the same stitch, into the same stitch as our chain 1, and into each stitch across. So continue across working 1 single crochet into each stitch, and I'll meet you at the end of row 4. So I have just finished my last single crochet for row 4, and our stitch count should be the same as it was for row 2. Be 26 single crochets for your extra small, 30 for your small and your medium, 34 for your large, 38 for your extra large, 42 for your 2X and your 3XL, 46 for your 4XL, and 50 for your 5XL. We're going to be repeating we're going to repeat this row section again. We're going to be repeating rows 1 to 4 for a number of times depending on which size that you're making. We're adding on some extra height for our armhole. So for the extra small and small, you're going to be repeating rows 1 to 4 a further once more, so for a total row count of 8. Medium, large, extra large, 2XL and 3XL are going to repeat rows 1 to 4 2 more times for a total row count of 12. 4XL is going to repeat rows 1 to 4 a further 3 more times, make that really clear, sorry, for a total row count of 16. And then 5XL are going to repeat rows 1 to 4 for a further 4 times, giving them a total row count of 20. So continue on and make those additional rows, and I will meet you back ready to work shaping our square necks. For the sake of this tutorial, because I am having to work a V-neck onto this side panel, so I'm going to have to rip all this back, I am going to continue on without doing the extra repeats. I hope that's okay, because just imagine you've got an extra section up here which is adding on to your armhole size. Now, assuming that you have worked your repeats as described before, you should either have a total row count of 8 for an extra small and a small, 12 rows for a medium, large, extra large, 2 and 3XL. You'll have 16 rows in total for a 4XL and 20 rows for a 5XL. Now, going on to our square neck, we should be finishing our last row near our armhole, and we are going to simply turn our work as normal with a turning chain of 3 for row 1 of shaping our armhole. So we're going to turn our work so that we have our armhole on this side, almost behind our hook, and we're going to create our neck here. To do that, we are simply going to work our cable stitches in this row as normal, but instead of working all the way across, we are going to work just a certain number, leaving some stitches unworked to create that neck hole opening. Working my first cable so I can let you know which row we are on. We're working it as normal, just we're going to do not as many of them. So including this first cable that we've made, extra small is going to make 3 cable stitches. Small and medium are going to make 4 cable stitches, including that first one. Large is going to make 5. Extra large is going to make 6. 2 and 3XL are going to make 7 cable stitches. 4XL are going to make 8. And 5XL are going to make 9. So make those cable stitches, and I'll meet you to work that last double crochet once we've worked just that amount of cable stitches. Oh, I've done the wrong stitch. So continue on making those cable stitches that are needed for your size, and I'll meet you to work our last stitch of this row together so that I can confirm you have those stitches unworked as well. I'll see you in a moment once you've worked those cables. Of course I worked one too many. So make sure you have the right amount of cables. So extra small should have 3, small and medium should have 4, large will have 5, extra large will have 6, 2 and 3XL will have 7, 4XL will have 8, and 5XL will have 9. Once you have those cable stitches, we are simply going to work 1 double crochet into that next stitch. Make sure you've not worked back into where you've already worked. And all of these stitches are left unworked. Now I've done it so that I'm going to tell you I'm doing this tutorial like this so you can see. But obviously your armhole will be up here, but you need to have your armhole opening with your tail on this side and your neck opening on the other side opposite to your armhole. Now this is the left panel that we are making. You might wonder, why is there a left and a right? I haven't gone into too much detail except in these videos, and it's because when we're finishing both panels, we want the right sides facing. So we've just done our cable row, which is a right side facing. So this will be our left panel. So that's our left shoulder above here. So when we make our right panel, our neck hole will be on the opposite side. They'll be flipped over so that these are all facing the same way. So we've got the right side of our stitches facing us on both panels. You can, of course, if it's a plain stitch, not worry too much about making a left and a right panel. But when there are detailed stitches like this, I personally feel it's important that we have the right side of the stitches, especially these taller stitches, facing on the right side on these patterns. I hope that makes sense. So going into row 2, we are leaving these stitches unworked. We're beginning with our chain of 1, and we are simply working 1 single crochet into each stitch across, including working into that same stitch as our chain 1, of course. And as normal, we're just working a single crochet into the top of each stitch. Continue across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 2. So at the end of row 2, we should be back towards our armhole and not our neck opening. You will have a stitch count. For a extra small, you have 14 single crochets, 18 for a small and a medium, 22 for a large, 26 for an extra large, 30 for a 2 and a 3XL, 34 for a 4XL, and 38 single crochets for a 5XL. Going into row 3, we are of course making a turning chain of 3, ready to work our crossed double crochet stitches. That counts, so we skip the next, ready to work 1 double crochet into the next, crossing back, working the double crochet into that skip stitch. Just as normal, we're repeating this all the way across to our last stitch, where we're going to be working 1 final double crochet. Continue to repeat that across, and I'll meet you at the end of row 3. So at the end of row 3, we should of course have 2 double crochets, and extra small will have 6 cross double crochets, small and medium will have 8, large will have 10, extra large will have 12, 2 and 3XL will have 14, 4XL will have 16, and 5XL will have 18 cross double crochets. Going into row 4, we are of course starting with our turning chain of 1. And we are simply working 1 single crochet into the same as our chain 1 and into each stitch across. Continue across, and I'll meet you for row 5. So, oh, where's it gone? So at the end of row 4, you should of course have the same stitch count that you had at the end of row 2, which will be 14 single crochets for an extra small, 18 for a small and medium, 22 for a large, 26 for an extra large, 30 for a 2 and 3XL, 34 for a 4XL, and 38 for your 5XL. Now going into row 5, you may wonder, why is there a row 5? Well, quite simply, we can't repeat row 1 because that's where we rejoined our yarn. So if you are following along with the written pattern, and obviously we've always done rows 1 to 4, it's only because the way the pattern is written, we can't repeat row 1. So we are simply doing a row of our cable stitches. We start with our turning chain of 3. We are then going to work our cable stitch as normal. So we skip the first stitch, and obviously where the chain 3 is, working our cable stitch as normal, just as we did for row 1 effectively. It's just we haven't lost those extra stitches, or else we'll have another neck hole opening, and we don't want that. That's the only reason we're having to do it this way. So row 5, we are essentially repeating row 1. We've already skipped those stitches at the end, so we don't need to do that bit again. So we're just going to work all the way across, so we have the same stitch count at the end of row 5 as we had for row 1. Once you've worked row 5, we are simply going to repeat rows 2 to 4, and that is the end of your left square neck panel. So continue on to work row 5, finishing off this cable row. Repeat rows 2 to 4, then you are ready to fasten off. Weave your ends, and of course give it a block to stop any curling, and then we will be ready to work. Oops. And then you can go on to work your second panel, adding on your right square neck, and then we can move on to our sleeves. I don't know what order you're working yours in. I tend to go left then right, but if you go right then left and you're ready to go onto your sleeves, then please do so. Get those last few rows finished, weave in those ends, and I'll see you in the next video.